Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 4 UFL power rankings. So, briefly recapping the Week 3 results. The Defenders beat the Renegades 29-28. The Stallions destroyed the Showboats 33-14. The Panthers defeated the Roughnecks 34-20. And finally, the Battlehawks beat the Brahmas 31-24. So, getting into my Week 4 rankings, at number 8, we have the Houston Roughnecks. The Roughnecks remain at the bottom of my power rankings after their 34-20 loss against the Panthers, and they are one of two winless teams in the UFL. Panthers' offense was decent. They actually scored a season-high 20 points this week, and quarterback Reed Sinnett was decent in his first game as a starter, finishing with 2 total touchdowns. But the defense is where things went downhill for Houston, allowing 34 points, which is the most points allowed by any team this season. Plus, they did not stop the run or pass well. They allowed 124 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Plus, they allowed the Panthers to have an 80% completion percentage. So, the Roughnecks, they have struggled so far this season. They've remained winless, and they're at the bottom of my power rank for a reason. They're definitely the worst team in the league, and they are at number 8. Number 7, we have the Arlington Renegades. The Renegades are the league's other winless team, and they enter my rankings at number 7. They lost to the Defenders in a close game by a score of 29-28 on a walk-off field goal. But this is a game the Renegades should not have lost. They led 28-18 late in the game and allowed the Defenders to score 11 points in 48 seconds, and they ended up losing. Now, the Renegades' defense was a major concern once again, and that has been a common theme throughout the first 3 weeks. The Renegades' defense allowed 29 points, about 6 yards of play, and didn't generate any turnovers. Then offensively for the Renegades, they were great. Luis Perez, another great game. He had 290 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. As a team, they rushed for 123 yards and a touchdown, and wide receiver Tyler Vaughns had a fantastic game with 9 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown. The offense is there for the Renegades, but the defense really struggles. And they have a lot of potential if their defense can step up and play at least decent, because their offense can score. And that is now back-to-back games where they've lost on walk-off field goals. But the Renegades, I definitely think they'll get a couple wins as the season progresses, and they enter at number 7. Number 6, we have the Showboats. They fall from number 5 to number 6 after an awful 33-14 loss to the Stallions. The Showboats looked terrible, scoring just 14 points. Their offense was horrendous, with just 3.5 yards of play and 212 total yards. Now, a big reason the offense was so bad was the horrible offensive line play, as the offensive line allowed 8 sacks and 8 tackles for loss, and the offensive line was so bad they even had to pull quarterback Case Cookus just so he wouldn't get hurt, because he was getting hit essentially every play. And now, even with constant pressure on Cookus, he still played a pretty good game, as he threw for 139 yards and a touchdown in about 3 quarters of football. And then you move over to the defensive side of things for the Showboats. It also wasn't good. They allowed 8 yards of play, 33 points, just a brutal all-around performance. And the Showboats at number 6. Moving on to number 5, we have the Defenders. They move up to number 5 as a combination of their win and the Showboats' loss. The Defenders are now 2-1, although they really didn't deserve to win this game. They ended up winning 29-28 on a walk-off field goal, scoring 11 points in the final 48 seconds. Now, the offense was good for the Defenders with 29 points, although only 259 yards of offense. But a big reason why the Defenders won was quarterback Jordan Ta'amu, because despite completing just 11 of 24 passes, he finished with a respectable stat line of 188 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, while also adding 53 rushing yards. Defensively for the Defenders, it wasn't pretty, struggling big time, allowing 419 yards and 28 points. But the Defenders were able to get the win thanks to a great comeback and a walk-off field goal from kicker Matt McCrane. But the Defenders did not look great, although they did end up getting the win, and that is what counts. They're at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have the Michigan Panthers. They're at number 4 once again, after they picked up the win over the Roughnecks by a score of 34-20. The offense, which had struggled in the first 2 weeks, was really good, putting up 34 points, which is the most points scored by any team this season. And something I wanted the Panthers to do better offensively was start faster, and they did a good job of that, scoring points on each of their first 2 drives. Quarterback E.J. Perry played a good game, completing 84% of his passes for 208 yards and a touchdown, also adding 2 touchdowns and 60 yards on the ground. And Purdy actually leads the league in rushing touchdowns with 4. Wide receiver Marcus Sims also had a great game with 4 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown, and including an unreal 66-yard catch and run, which included 5 broken tackles. Now, Marcus Sims has become a big play receiver for the Panthers as he now has touchdowns of 66 yards and 76 yards in 3 weeks. On defensive side of things for the Panthers, they didn't play amazing, but they played pretty well, especially against the run, allowing just 2.8 yards a carry and racking up 7 tackles for loss. But the Panthers, they look pretty good, improved to 2-1 on the season, and they enter at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have the San Antonio Brahmas. They slide down from number 2 to number 3 following their first loss of the season, 31-24 to the Battlehawks. The Brahmas offense was held in check despite still scoring 24 points, but we do have some unfortunate news regarding the Brahmas offense. Quarterback Chase Garbers has suffered a wrist injury and could potentially miss the entire remainder of the season, depending on how his recovery goes. Now, this comes as a surprise because Chase Garbers actually never left the game against the Battlehawks, but he's now going to miss at least 5 weeks as he was placed on the IR. Now, that is devastating for a good Brahmas offense because Garbers was a huge part of their offensive success so far this season, as he has 568 passing yards and a league-leading 6 passing touchdowns. So the loss of Chase Garbers will be huge for the Brahmas. Now, backup quarterback Quentin Dormady is decent, but I still think it will be a significant step down from Chase Garbers, who's playing at a very high level. Outside of the quarterback news for the Brahmas, this past week they ran the ball well for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, and their defense did an okay job against a great offense, but the Brahmas suffered their first loss this season and are at number 3 in my power rankings. Coming in at number 2, we have the St. Louis Battlehawks. The Battlehawks jump up to 2 in my rankings after their win over their previously undefeated Brahmas. The Battlehawks offense was great, scoring 31 points, although AJ McCarron was quiet for his standards, finishing with just 152 passing yards, although he did have 2 total touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing. The Battlehawks ran the ball very effectively for the second straight week, finishing with 113 yards and 2 touchdowns on 5.9 yards a carry. And 62 of those yards came from running back Jacob Sowers, who reached that 62-yard total on just 7 carries. The Battlehawks defense also played well against a good offense, holding the Brahmas to just 158 passing yards and 3.7 yards of play. But the Battlehawks are tied atop the XFL conference with a 2-1 record and enter my rankings at number 2. And at number 1, it is the Stallions. No surprise here. The Stallions absolutely demolished the Showboats, winning 33-14. The Stallions' offense was outstanding, putting up 33 points, and even more important, offensively, they may have found their answer at the quarterback position. As for the first time this season, 1 quarterback played the entire game, and that was Adrian Martinez. Martinez was really good for the Stallions, passing for 334 yards and 2 touchdowns, becoming the first 300-yard passer in the UFL. And on top of those incredible passing stats, he also added 44 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. And for someone who had questions about his passing ability based off his performance so far in the first 2 weeks, I would definitely say he answered those questions, as he made great throw after great throw this past week. 7 of his completions went to wide receiver Deion Kane, who finished with a great game of 7 catches for 144 yards, and also now leads the league in receiving yards with 240 yards. And while the Stallions' offense was insane, the defense was somehow even better, as the Stallions' defense allowed just 14 points, although technically 12 because the Showboats got 2 because of a safety. On top of allowing just 12 points, the defense allowed just 212 total yards, and the Showboats averaged just 3.5 yards of play. Additionally, the Stallions' defensive front wreaked havoc throughout the entire game, finishing with an eye-popping 8 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. But this is an insane Stallions team, and it really creates the question, who can beat this team? Because they really don't have a weakness. So, they're going to be at number 1 in my power rankings for a while. They're the league's only undefeated team. And they're definitely top team in the league. But those are my week 4 UFL power rankings. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my rankings, disagree, and why. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. And I will see you in the next video.